This week's show with Isabella Strambio is sponsored by Sassy Jack Stitchery and the Embroiderers Guild of America. It's the holiday season and an excellent time to shop at SassyJackStitchery.com for new projects for yourself or gifts for stitching friends. Sassy Jacks carries charts from all of the top designers, several lines of threads, and an extensive selection of linen in all thread counts. Always keep in mind that a gift certificate can be the perfect choice for your favorite stitching friends. While supplies last, Sassy Jacks has 3 sales packages that are guaranteed to tempt you. The Sampler Mystery Collection Steel Deal is a curated assortment of 5 sampler or sampler-ish charts, $125 value for $25 until they're all gone. 5 cross-stitch charts from popular designers, a $75 value for $20, and 5 charts from the Heartstring Samplery Sunday Stitchers series, a $50 value for $15. If you're someone who can never have enough scissors, check out the Golden Forge scissors, a new offering from Sassy Jacks. They're available in red and willow green and drop forged from a single piece of steel and hand finished by Italian artisans. Treat yourself or your stitching BFF to a new pair of scissors. Make it a habit to visit the Sassy Jacks website at SassyJackStitchery.com and join the Sassy Jacks Facebook group to keep up with all of the upcoming activities. Receive Christmas gift money from a friend or family member? Use it to join or renew your EGA membership, and you'll realize stitching enjoyment all year long. If you don't have an EGA local chapter or monthly meetings don't fit your schedule, join the EGA as a member at large. One of the member at large benefits is the Member at Large Virtual Stitch-In Zoom program. The next one is January 1 at 2 p.m. Eastern. Note that you must register in advance to participate. Also make a note in the new year to sign up for the Needlework Fair National Seminar 2025, which will be held November 12 to 16 in Dallas. Part of that annual event is the new and exciting Sampler University, which is open to EGA members and non-members. As a non-member, it's an excellent opportunity to experience a national seminar. Also, be sure to participate in the very popular virtual lecture series. The next presentation is the Red Dress Project with British artist Kirsty MacLeod. That lecture is January 26 at 1 p.m. Eastern, and registration opens December 16. All of the details for these and so many more programs are available at egausa.org. Visit the website and join today. It'll raise your needlework enjoyment to a new level. Thanks to Sassy Jacks and the EGA for sponsoring this week's show, and now our conversation with Isabella Strambio. Welcome back. I'm Gary Parr.
And I'm Beth Ellicott.
And you're listening to Fiber Talk, the twice-weekly podcast for needlework artists. And our artist right there in the middle of the screen from now Sweden is Isabella Strambio. You never stay in one spot twice here. Isabella, well, we got Italy, London,
Australia, Dubai, and Sweden now.
Holy smokes! Yeah.
Wow.
But moving around like that. I mean, obviously, it's in your nature to do it, but your kids must get such a variety of culture. It's got to be great for them.
Well, with the kids, this is the first time we moved country. So the youngest was born in Italy, but we moved when she was 1, so she doesn't remember. And we just moved to Sweden. So all the traveling was pre-kids, so it was way easier.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And you're going to get later what my daughter always told me. Why did you travel before I was born? is what she always told me. It's like,
Yeah,
well, now you have to make your own adventures.
yeah, exactly. No, it's definitely easier when it's just the two of you. Also less
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, a lot less stuff. Yeah.
That's less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Isabella is with us today, and her new book is Mindful Macrame. And of course, our audience is primarily needleworkers by a long shot, actually almost exclusively. So people are going to go, well, I'm not interested in macrame. Well, yes, you are, because you're interested in this book, because this is so unique. And when we talk about the book, which we'll do for the majority of the time, if you're a needleworker, just insert in the word, instead of macrame, needlework, because it works for the same thing. It's the mindful part. It's the mental aspect that we're after here that Isabella brings out in her book that is so cool. And the way you have that book put together is just, it's just ideal. Really
Yes.
a functional book. It's a functional book. There's projects in there, but the mindful mental part is yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it. So
Yeah, I'm glad it resonates, and and it's been well received.
yeah. Now the new book we'll get into detail in the book later, but the new book comes out in January, but people can pre-order it, right?
Yes, correct. They can order in the US, and it comes out on the 10th of January.
Yes, right. So people can get that, and it's just a, well, we'll get into the details. It's just a really neat thing. So started out as an architect, interior designer. That was
Yes.
was that your when I grow up, that's what I want to be.
Yeah, I always wanted to be an interior designer. My dad had a furniture shop, so I've always been around interior designers, and and then I studied interior architecture at university, and then start working as interior designer straight away. So that was my career and all I wanted to do
But you're
until
not
I had
doing it. But you're not
until I
doing
was,
it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting because we've talked to so many designers who start out in the corporate world and then they just move away from it. Was it the corporate world or kids that got you out of?
I think it's more the corporate world. It's been very demanding, and I think especially in design, there's a lot of pressure on project, very short deadlines, so working extra hours, and once you have a family, that becomes not compatible anymore. So I was still working because that was what my career was, but I realized that I wasn't growing in my career. I kind of hit a ceiling because I couldn't put the hours and the same commitment as before. I could not, stay to work until 10 o'clock because the next day there's a deadline. I had to go home and pick up my kids from nursery. So I had to compromise. And for a period of time, I was happy to compromise, and finish it at 5, and other people will, grow in their career, and I just stayed where I was because I had children, and that's where I was. But obviously after a while, especially I think if you're a creative person, it becomes very frustrating because the less you commit to your career, obviously the less interesting projects you're gonna get, or roles, or things that you design. So if before I was designing a restaurant, then suddenly I was designing the in suites for a hotel. So it's completely different, design skills, and that's when I start to find different outlet outside my work to kind of express my creativity, and that's how it came about.
So then the job, just a function of you're not able to work 80 hours a week, then got you into lesser creative projects. So then it basically was stifling your creativity in the end then.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
feeling very, very frustrated when you just repeat, you do the same thing over and over again, and you go to work and it says, oh, I'm just gonna throw bathroom again, and it's been 3 days. But that's how it was. That's how it was, and I think people that are interior designer, they understand what it is. But that's how it was. And sometimes when you think of interior designer, you think it's all glamorous, but it's not. At the end of the day, the project has to be done, and there's lots of other bits and pieces and need to be solved and drawn and given to the project manager, and that's what I was doing. And obviously my career completely changed, and I understood that was gonna be like that for a few years because my family was coming first. So
Mommy, what'd you do today? I drew a bathroom. But you did that yesterday. Yeah, but the toilet was over here, not over here. So oh man. Yeah, but that's, we make that sacrifice for kids. I mean, you do that, but still, if you're a creative person, that's got to be tough.
Yeah, it is. And I think, maybe other people would be okay with it, but I wasn't. And I thought I just need to find a different way. And that also relates a lot with the mindful book. I know we're going to talk about it, but it's just finding that time during a busy schedule, or when you feel stuck. Sometimes there are periods in your life where you are stuck, and maybe there's no opportunity, or you just simply cannot make that choice at that time. You have to wait, where you still need to try to carve that time for your creativity. And even if you're not a creative person, or a creative person as such, I do think that everyone is creative, and we all need to find a creative outlet. And it could be macrame or needle felting, or it could be cooking, it could be music, dancing. It's a way of expressing ourselves in a creative way.
Yeah, it has to come out. Yeah,
it has to come out in one way or the other. That's what I feel.
So you said you did 12 crafts in 12 months. So was that while you're still working, or was that after?
Yeah, so I was still working, and I came up with this idea. So before I start the 12 crafts in 12 months, I had Pinterest pins, and so many boards of things that I wish I could do, and I had tabs saved on my favorites. And because I've always drawn by creative crafts and doing things with my hand, I just did not have the time. I did not carve that time to do it. So I actually don't remember the moment I came up with the idea of doing 12 crafts in 12 months. But then I remember going to work and talking to a colleague, and she was like, "Oh my God, this is so cool." She says, "But why 12 crafts?" I said, "I can't pick one." I can't. So I thought, I try 12, then maybe, I can try it out and then see which one I like. And macrame was my very first one. I absolutely loved it. A neighbor actually taught me. She was Portuguese, and I saw her doing it. I was like, "Oh, what is this?" Because I'd never heard of macrame until at that point, and that was 2015. And she said, "Oh, it's macrame." And I said, "Oh, can you teach me?" And she said, "Yeah, for your birthday, why don't you come to my house? We can have like kind of a garden party, and I teach you macrame." And that's how I learned. And so then a few months later, I decided to start this blog about learning 12 crafts in 12 months. Macrame was my first one. And then I ended up doing all the 12.
Okay, I got to know the 12. I got to know the 12.
Yeah, I knew. I realized everyone asked. Now I'll try to remember, because I should have written down. I forgot. So I had macrame, I had weaving, paper cutting, candle making, crochet, slow stitching, natural dyeing, polymer clay, reef making, basket making, temari ball, and lino cutting.
Holy
Okay,
smokes.
so which was your, well, macrame obviously stuck, but which one did you like the least?
Paper cutting.
And And why was that?
To cut all this, I just did not have the patience, and then if you cut one bit too much, it just ruined the whole thing and you have to start again. I was like, oh my God, I cannot do this. Not for me. I don't have that patience no.
Yeah.
What a range of crafts. Holy smokes. And
Yeah, I
tamari.
think, even the paper cutting, it was a challenge, but that's the thing. Sometimes if you don't try, you don't know. Or sometimes you look at something and you think it's complicated and it turns out actually it's, you're quite good at it. And other time you think it's simple and actually it's not. So, you do have to try them and to see if it's your thing, if you can connect with the medium.
Yeah.
Okay, now see, my head's going. What would I do for 12? What would my 12 be? I don't know. Wow.
It's a good challenge, right? It's
Right.
fun.
Right. Oh.
Right. Yeah, especially, and I think of like when I had my kids, I homeschooled them. And so, candle making, we did that. We did some weaving, with the little looms. And I think that that's great. You challenge yourself. You're like, do I like this? Do I hate it? I think we tried soap making or, lotion making, something like that. I don't remember. And it's good to try all those little things. Some things stick and some things don't. And it just,
Yeah,
it just
definitely.
depends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. Okay, I got to know why macrame stuck. But see, Beth and I remember back, probably in the 70s, when macrame was, I mean, everybody was doing it. Anyone who did any craft was doing it. Beth, what, plant hangers, and you put
Yes.
drooping plants in them and the whole thing. I mean, that was a craze for a while. And then it just kind of died off. But it keeps popping up lately, and I think it may be a little bit of a comeback here. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I think it has come back probably about 15 years now. And especially I think about 15 years ago, probably in Australia and America, and now probably 10 years in the UK, I mean, in Europe. Um, I think the difference between the 60s and the 70s compared to now is one is the materials. There's so many beautiful materials. Instead of using the brown jute, now you have beautiful cotton strings
Yes.
in all these colors. A lot of them are made by recycled cotton, so very eco-friendly. We have bamboo strings, which is absolutely soft and beautiful. So we have the materials are completely different than back in the 70s. And I think also people now are using macrame this is also one of the reasons why I love macrame is you can have micro macrame, to make jewelry. You can use very chunky materials to make like big installation. It could be clothing. There's some beautiful designer out there that are making clothes out of macrame, homeware. Decorations. I've wrote a book about home decor, jewelry, Christmas. So there's so many things, and that's why I think almost anyone can love macrame or can give it a go, because you can find your thing that you want to make, things that you like either to wear or to have in your home. Use the colors you want, different type of materials. You can do it big or the same, not make it small or make it big, has completely different look. So people can really express their style and their personality with macrame.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing in looking at your work, because I remember in the back in the day, it was just always just this chunky, big
Yeah.
knots and heavy cord, and you had to have a space to hang it. And I'm sure there was smaller stuff, but the stuff you make has an elegance to it. It's a whole different look.
Yeah, and the material makes a huge difference. And again, because these days you can find cord string that is 1.5 millimeter to 10 millimeters. So it's a completely different range, and you can create even the same pot plant, the hanger done with a finer string compared to a chunky strings has a completely different look and proportion. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember making even like bracelets, because kind of the friendship bracelet sort of thing
Yeah,
but it was always that brown jute stuff with the beads, and
that's it.
you added the beads to make it pretty, but I'm sure I made those, and I know an owl,
Yeah, I think
you know,
owls planters are like the top two project that people did at school in the 70s, early 80s. Yeah.
right, right. You put the ring in and you did the macro. Oh yes, I
Yeah,
could do that. I could do that. But yours, you're right. I think it's the material has changed. We've got all that really nice, softer looking um, fibers that we can use, and the fact that they're recyclable makes it much more. I mean, the jute was just it was so rough to use on your hands.
exactly. Exactly. I think that's the other thing, very rough on your hand as a material is a very coarse material.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as I think as people who are creatives, I know I don't like. I tried doing photos on my computer. I don't like doing that. I'm tactile. I need to touch the stuff. So I think that's what's appealing to needlework for me. And that macrame is, I've seen it. It comes up on my feed and Instagram and things, and I'm thinking, oh, it's much nicer material now. That would be fun. It's the tactile. I want to
Yeah,
touch it.
100%, 100%.
So is that what made it stick for you? What made your 12? It was the one that you locked into.
I think what I loved is so when I did macrame for the first time, I've learned two knots, and I could tell, as soon as I've made the knot, so I could start recognize the knot that even with two knots, because you could use in different colors, different materials, the spacing, even with two knots, you could create so many different versions of the same pattern. And then the same pattern, if you just change, just say the spacing between the knot, you can create something completely new. And so I could see the potential, and so for me, that it's what kind of opened a door to a completely new world. I was like, wow, what if I learn even two more knots? What can I make?
Uh,
And so that's how it started. Then I learned one more knot and combine it, and it was a journey, exploring all the different combination. But that is, when I do the workshop and I teach the first knot, which is the square knot, is the basic macrame knot, and I bring sample at the workshop and say, this is the same knot as this. One is a market bag and one is a clutch bag. Different function, same knot, completely different look, and people are like, wow. And that it's when they realize, the potential and of macrame, and I think that's what people fell into it, and there's, yeah, the potential, the
yeah.
va- the
Mhm.
the how versatile, that's the word I was looking for, how versatile it is as a craft.
Yeah. When you quit designing shower stalls and started doing macrame, what a leap! What a leap! Uh, did you feel your creativity start to blossom? Did you
Yeah, so
find?
I did. I was for about a year and a half. I was doing both. So I was still working full time, and I was doing the 12 craft in 12 months in the evenings or the weekend. And then what happened after 6 months of starting the 12 craft in 12 months? I start. A friend of mine said, "Oh, Isabella, why don't you run a workshop?" You know, People were keep asking me, also, are you teaching macrame? I was like, no, this is my hobby. I said, oh, why don't you start? I was like, okay. And I honestly thought I was the worst teacher in the world because I don't have much patience in teaching. Um, but when I did my first workshop, I loved this so much.
Ah,
It just poured out of me. And I think when you are passionate about something, it just comes across. Um, and then what I loved is seeing people with the final results. So in my workshop, everyone finished a piece. No one goes home without having finished
yeah,
the piece, because they need to have the satisfaction of having start with a bundle of string and having an item that take home. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's that achievement, to have create something. And because a lot of people don't spend much time doing something creative, when they see that in 1 hour and a half you can make a plant hanger, their eyes lit up. They're so proud of themselves that they've actually made something that they can use in their home, and they can look at it every day and say, I've made that. So I think that the combination of me passing on this passion and people taking it in and make something and being so proud of themselves for achieving something, it just blew my mind. So I started teaching a workshop almost every weekend when I could in the evening. And then about a year and a half into that, we moved from London into the English countryside, and that's when I took the leap and I said, that's it, I am going to quit. I'm going to just make macrame work, go and pick up my kids from school every day, take them to school, take them to clubs instead of sending them to after school clubs, and I never used to see them until 6 o'clock in the evening. So that was that's the leap I took. And I think when you just take that leap, it was either it's going to work or I'm going to end up doing the same thing as before. And there's no way I'm going back to an office. No way. So I just made it work, and and slowly, and that's how my business basically started, on the back of those workshops.
Yeah. Now, okay, so when you make this shift, okay,
Yeah.
two things. I'm having a hard time making these come together, but I'm just going to go for it here. When you make this shift, from your mental health aspect, did you see that improve dramatically once you got?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think spending more time with the girls, definitely, and just being happy, the whole thing that you wake up in the morning and you're excited about the day ahead, instead of say, oh my God, I need to commute an hour and a half. The underground, draw bathroom, showers or cubicles, whatever, then come back and then cook, tidy up, put the kids to, everything it was so much effort. And of course it was worrying, because at the beginning the business didn't make much money,
Right.
and that's how it is. But it was that excitement about what was gonna come, and that determination, and definitely my mental health improved 100%.
Okay. All right, and then add to that, talk about the To Me.
Yes, so To Me, the name came when I started the blog, the 12 Craft in 12 Months. I had to give a name to my blog. And I thought To Me because it was 2 hours for me. So when I started 12 Crafts, the 12 Craft in 12 Months, the idea is that I was going to try every evening to dedicate 2 hours for myself. And that was to do craft at the time. And then the name kind of stuck. And I think, again, it's coming back now with the book Mindful Macrame, to try to find some time for yourself. And so that's how the name came.
When I first read that, I just loved it because, I'm retired now and Beth's retired, so supposedly we have more time, though. I haven't seen that
Right.
yet, Beth. I'm still waiting for those.
I know. Yeah,
those
it's not
days.
gonna happen for yet. You have to wait.
But I was thinking back, through my work years, that concept of saying to myself, allowing myself, actually forcing myself to set aside 2 hours for me every day. And then I think of my wife and people all over the world who are just scrambling every day to keep their heads above water, to stop for 2 hours and say, this is my time to do what I want to do. It's just such a simple concept, but powerful.
And I think at the time, I knew that I had to give up something. You don't have just 2 hours per hours. No one does. And I thought I could either sit and watch a new Netflix series, or I can actually do this. And that was, so I think for 12 months I did not watch TV. I knew I was committed to the 12 craft in 12 months, and I knew that I had to give something up, and I said, okay, I'm not gonna watch TV. That's it. In the evening, after I've cleared up and everything, I'm gonna sit down on my table and I'm gonna make my crafts.
So you're saying to yourself then, not just 2 hours, but 2 hours of productive time for me. Not
Yeah, at the time it was, sometimes was me making something. At a time it could be maybe doing research on Instagram, on Pinterest, or future project. And I mean, I'm not saying that every single evening I was there, but I would say probably from Monday to Friday, at least 4 evening, I would be doing something for my blog. And so at the time, then I decided to start the blog. So maybe it was writing the blog, or maybe it was making something, taking pictures, or posting on Instagram. Instagram was completely new for me as well. So again, finding the right hashtag, all this, it was starting from nothing. And then suddenly this world opens up of the blog and then Instagram, and recording everything and connecting with other makers, doing research. Um, so that was 2 hours for me for my project, which was 12 crafts in 12 months
yeah,
at the time.
yeah. No, it reminds me. It made me think. Our daughter is a very skilled flute player, and she plays in I'm going to say community band, and it creates this connotation of a bunch of hacks playing some music. But they're brilliant. It's really
Yeah,
good, and they've got a director who is outstanding. And I remember having a discussion with her. She's raising two boys, 9 and 7, and yeah, all the things that go with that. And I remember her saying to me, "I'm going to have to give up band. I just don't have time." And I said to her, "You can't do that. You have
yeah,
to have one thing, at least one thing in the week that's you, and
yeah,
your family's just going to have to step aside and fend for themselves, so you can do that, at least that."
yes.
And she kept it. I'm really happy. She never said anything more, but she's not giving it up. And then when I saw this to me, I thought, that's you got to block out something for you, or you just go nuts.
Yeah, and I think it's especially, I think, as women, we have this tendency to put everybody else before us, especially when you have a family, and we feel guilty or selfish for having that time, like your daughter, for instance, to have that time. But it's just so important, because if you're not happy, the rest of the family is not going to be happy either. So it's so important to have that outlet, and for your mental health, but also for your own identity, because it's a way for you to express yourself. I've got my best friend that she keeps saying to me, I mentioned her in my at the back of the book, that she's not creative. She says, Isabella, my outlet is the gym. I just go to the gym every day. But that's what she does. She wakes up half an hour before the whole family. She goes to the gym, then she comes back and she says, that's my way. I need to start my day like that. So everyone has a different way to cope. She says, that's my that's my way to look after my mental health. So I think everyone needs to have something that, as you said, it's just your time, and you can just put everything on pause for a little
Yeah.
bit.
Right. I think it's interesting that you turned off the TV too. I was the other day. I just read your book, and busy life right now, and I had some stitching time, and I thought, okay, I'll play a podcast. I'm going to play something. And I thought, no, today I'm just going to stitch. My husband had something he was watching that I wasn't really paying attention to, but it made me much more mindful of what I was doing. It kind of slowed me down and calmed me down more than when I'm like I'll have an audiobook going or something while I'm stitching. But it made me be more mindful of my stitching when I did it. And it was just a different way of looking at it. Normally, I think most of us who stitch will have music. Well, music's not so bad, but like a podcast playing or Netflix going or something going on. And I kind of wonder if we don't need to kind of slow it down a little bit, turn those things off, and just enjoy the craft, enjoy our creative space there.
I personally don't. I personally don't put the music. I work in silence, and my husband thinks I'm really weird because he's also creative, he's an interior designer as well, and he always has music. And but I don't know why. I like the quiet. I just feel very comfortable being in the quiet and be focused. Sometimes when I do large projects, so it's very, very repetitive, I will have a podcast on audiobook. So listen to some amazing audiobooks, but that's because it's a project that maybe it's gonna take me 2 weeks, and so you know I get bored after a while. But if it's a project, to say that I do or I work for like a couple of hours, 1 or 2 hours, I will be in silence. I just love it. But I know not it's not everyone's cup of tea. And music, I think, as you said, is probably fine. But the moment you put TV or you have a podcast, your brain is not focusing 100% on what's in front of you.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
think so. I think so.
Yeah. The your business, so your business evolves and it's teaching. Are you designing too?
Yes, yes. So I do commissions. So I've worked with different interior designers or people that just write to me and say, I'm looking for this. Can you make it? So I usually do one-off projects and write books. Collaborate with different brands. So in the UK, I was working a lot with Hobbycraft and design patterns that they sell in their own online shop or for their blog. Create kits for different companies. It has grown. It's just been amazing. I feel like so grateful for all the opportunities I have to
Yeah.
keep doing my. Sometimes I can't believe that this is my job. I think people think it's like, can you actually make money? I was like, yeah, I'm lucky enough. Maybe I'm one of the few, but actually I do. And, and I feel grateful and, you know, enjoy until it lasts. That's what I said, maybe
Right.
one day we'll stop. I don't know, but until people call me to work, I'll keep working
Yep.
and happy to do it. So
Well, I doubt it will end because you have this mental health aspect to it that I mean that's not going away anytime soon. So you write 3 books. You've got what macrame for the modern home, macrame jewelry, and Christmas. Though I assume those. I didn't look at those. I assume those are all project books. Here's how you
yes,
can make. Okay, and then you
but
come along to do mindful macrame. So
yes.
what makes you want to put that book together?
I think after 3 books that was only focused on projects, I really wanted to have something different. So one, I wanted a book that was for everyone, not only people that love macrame or craft. So the idea of mindful macrame is that anyone that goes in a shop like anthropology, that they're obviously not going to anthropology to look for craft book, okay, but they see it and they're curious about craft, will see it and pick it up. And the idea is that it's not only about creating something with your hand, but it's have carving the time to slow down. And so I combine the macrame with some of the things that I personally do, which is journaling, which is something I do every day, and then breath work, because breath work is so simple, but yet it's just so powerful, that stopping and actually thinking about breathing, because we breathe all the time, but we don't think about it, but actually do it with intention. And they're like small things that anyone can do. Okay. But they can be so powerful. So I want it to be more than just craft. I want it to be accessible for everyone and really make people realize that it doesn't take actually much to find mindfulness in your day if you just put aside even 30 minutes. And that's what
Yeah.
the book is split in 3 different categories.
Right. Talk about journaling. Now I've made 2 semi-serious stabs at journaling, and I just quit because to me it was I just it just didn't do a thing for me. I didn't get it. I just simply didn't get it and just quit. So talk about how you approach journaling and how that helps you. What does that do for you? Because I really just struggle to, I don't understand it.
Well, journaling, it's how do I say? I mean, the way I like journaling is the prompts. So sometimes, so there's different ways of you can do journaling. There's some journals where you just wake up in the morning, just write 3 pages, and they just write everything that you have in your mind. Okay, so that's one type of journaling. And then there's another type of journaling where you have prompts, and you just write what that prompts is asking you. So, for instance, in my book, it could be if you could have any money in the world, where would you like to travel? And you write down. And the idea of the prompt is that make you stop and think about you. Okay. So it could be a vision or like a dream that you have, or it could be something perhaps in the past, or it could be something right now. Okay. So what are you grateful for? Okay, today on the 21st of November, which is probably different in 1 week time or a month ago. So just being aware of you right now, how you are feeling, and that's what I like about journaling. I have a journal that is called the 5 minute journal. I think you can Google it. And that I think is brilliant. That's how I start journaling, but it's literally 5 minutes. And then the more I do it, there's some days where I might spend 30 minutes because as I write, there's more stuff that come up. And other days I only have 5 minutes and I do it 5 minutes. But it's that time where you actually stop and think and be grateful for something. Yeah.
I think when I take the time to journal, I find because I do the 3 pages or I do the mind dump in the morning.
Yeah.
Because I have too many thoughts going in my head and I have to get them written down. But after a while, if you do it for a while, it's like you run out of that mind dump. You've said that, and all of a sudden the creative ideas start coming, is what I've discovered. Like all of a sudden I realize I have a solution for a problem on a creative project that I'm working on. I'm like, oh, this will work. And, it kind of gets those thoughts out, at least for me with the journaling.
It's
So the
very
5 minute prompt, yeah.
Yeah. No, and that's why I say, everyone has use it. It's a tool, and you have to use it the way it works. It works for you. You should give it a go again.
Okay.
I honestly recommend a 5 minutes journal because it's not a chore. 5 minutes is just 5 minutes, and then if it turns into 10 because you decide that you want to spend more time on it, it's it's your choice. Yeah.
Yeah. Because see, we should back up a step. The book, Mindful Macrame, is what do you have? 30-minute, 60-minute, and multiple hour projects. So we have some simple little so it's just something to do with your hands. But then you actually devote pages in the book for this journaling. I mean, there are pages with lines, blank pages with lines for journaling, with prompts. And to me, that's where that the book now reaches a different level, because now it's a functional book. I'm looking at this thing to make whatever little design you have. I'm going to make in 30 minutes, but then right there is something for me to think about and write down as I'm doing the macrame. And it was like, yes, perfect, yeah.
Because that's what happened to me. Sometimes I told you I make in silence, and ideas will just come up. And I have always a notebook next to me, and that's where I will write my notes. And so the idea of the book is, if you are, especially if you do the project in 30 minutes, I imagine, you took I'm taking my daughter to gymnastics. I have 1 hour to kill. Maybe I'll do a project. Okay, it's the best time. I'll do a little project, 30 minutes. I can fit it. You're not going to have the journal as well, and you're not going to bring, but the book has everything. It has the step-by-step, has the pictures, tells you what to do. There's the breath work. It has the prompt. So while you're doing the project, you can think of the prompt. And the idea of the project as well, if you look at the project, the majority of the project use the same knot over and over again. So the idea is that when you learn how to make the knot and you keep doing it, you lose yourself in the rhythm. You don't have to think anymore of how you're making the knot. If you learn how to make the knot, if you have to make the same knot 20 times, after the fifth time, your hands just do the knot. You lose yourself in that rhythm and that monotony, that repetition, and your brain starts to think. And I give you a prompt or something to think about it, and hopefully then you will have something to write down. So hopefully people are gonna use it. And it doesn't have to be used like that. You can just use it as a journal. You can just use the breath work. You can just use the project. It's up to you, of course, but that's how I imagine the book when I put it together.
Yeah. But see, that's what moves it out of strictly macrame, though.
Yes.
Because see, Beth and I sitting down and stitching, that book could be right in front of me with the same prompts, and they still work no matter what I'm doing.
100%.
Yeah, and so to me, it's expanded out to everyone doing something with their hands, and then the mind thing. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. No,
it definitely gives you something to think about. So that way, because like I said, we tend to distract ourselves, is what we're doing in this day and age. So to stop and say, no, I'm going to think about this question while I'm doing something very repetitive. Because for me, I have to keep my mind busy while I'm, if I'm doing just little X's, or even if I'm doing a needlepoint piece that's the same stitch again and again, I need something to occupy my mind, or it just, I'm not happy. It doesn't fulfill the needs, so.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. Yeah.
And a couple of my favorite prompts. Remember the last time you had fun? Oh, that stopped me. That stopped me right there. I was sitting at the computer putting together questions and topics to talk about, and I just stopped and sat back and thought, wait a minute. When was the last time? Fortunately, it was like the day before. But because I thought, what if it's like a month ago? What am I doing?
But that's the thing, right? It's just those simple questions that, then you have to stop and think. And having fun, it's, as an adult, sometimes we go days without actually having fun.
Right.
Right. Too busy adulting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, but it was from the mental health aspect. I thought, wait a minute, are people in such bad shape, not bad shape, but in living such lives that the question, when was the last time you had fun, is a valid question to ask. And that would, make you stop and think, wait, when did I last have a good time? Yeah. I've just been, I'm just grinding every day, raising kids, keeping a household going. And that one, that was really, that stopped me right in my tracks. That was good. Yeah. And then if you could travel anywhere, see, in that one, I just ended a career where there was a long stretch where I was traveling twice a month, and I don't care if I see another airport for a long, long time, but I stopped to think, and that was all business travel. So, but I stopped to think, what if I could just go somewhere for me?
Yeah.
And then the wheels start spinning again. Yeah.
And I think sometimes travel doesn't mean you have to take the plane. It could be I don't know, 2 hours from where you are, but you're so busy that you can't even go up, I don't know, up in the mountains, or to the lake, or it could be just at the beach, right? Depends where you live. And it doesn't have to be something exotic. I think travel, everyone has a different dream or vision of, of how, what traveling. my husband's family, they love traveling with camper van. For me, it's my nightmare. I would never do a holiday in a camper van, but they love it. So that's probably, the vision of traveling and having fun. While for me, is actually take a plane. But so everyone is a different version. But I
Yeah.
think it's not carving that time where you can just be away from your daily routine and the daily responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, right, right. Just getting away and I think turning off the phones, turning off the electronics too, or just to change the scenery. I have a friend that travels
Yeah,
a lot, and I think it for her as a creative person, um, it inspires her creativity too. It when she comes back, she's just like jumping out of her ideas because she's seen something new. And I know when my husband and I travel, we have a small camper, which that's what cracks me up. It does. When I come back, I'm full of ideas
yeah,
for being creative, just or different ways to interpret things or it just fills your soul in a different way, I think.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And you Europeans are so much better at making sure you get your time off, you get your holidays.
Yeah, I think
And
in US you only have 10 days, I think,
we're
don't
we're
you?
terrible, but we're terrible at it. I mean, I went many years where I never even took a vacation because I was, you gotta do the job and you got to move ahead. And but you guys don't mess around with it. It's like it's not. There's no other option. My holiday is coming up and I'm going.
Yeah.
And
And in some companies, if you don't take those holidays, you lose them.
hmm,
It's not that you can carry them the next day. So they kind of force you to take them. It says, well, you still have 5 days left. You just have to take them. So you're like, okay, fine. I mean, the majority of people will take them, but sometimes because for whatever circumstance, if you had any few days, they say you have to take them by the end of the year. And I think in also a lot of corporate companies, after you work a certain amount of years, they will just give you 5 extra holidays.
right,
So that is
right.
huge incentive. People, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely
See,
use.
it at two different companies, I was up to 4 weeks of vacation, paid vacation a year. Never took them.
Oh
Day
my
day
goodness!
here, day here, day there, but never took them.
But that's
And
also a cultural thing that you feel bad if you go away for 2 weeks in a row. Maybe I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And I know my husband worked at a place where he would say, "Should I take my computer with? Because I got to watch what's going on." And we
yeah,
were like, we would all yell at him, "No, you can't take the computer with. We're going on vacation. We don't want you sitting there on the floor at 2 o'clock in the morning watching your reactions run.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's not
Yeah,
vacation.
but
That's
see,
not vacation."
that's exactly it. Because I bet I can count on one hand the number of weeks that I took time off from work in 45 years that didn't have a computer with me or something. It was always that. And there's a young man that in the company that just closed that I worked with, and he was going to Japan. He was going to take a vacation to Japan, and he was writing to us. I've got everything lined up and ahead of time, and if there's anything comes up, I'll be available. Just call me. And I wrote to him and I said, Greg, I went 45 years and I just didn't take the time. I'd take a
yeah,
Friday afternoon off or something. And I said, don't make my mistake. Go. Leave the work behind. Go. It'll be here when we get back. And trust me, it's not going to hurt you, but it's going to help you. Get
yeah.
out. And
Hmm.
it was really me talking to him, but it was really me saying to me, you missed out. You know?
Yeah, you talking to your younger self
Yeah.
if you could go back. Yeah,
Right,
but
right.
this is no one told you, right? And that's why I think a lot is a cultural issue that they didn't encourage you or make you feel guilty for taking time off for
Right.
spend time with your family. And I think luckily, I think is changing this day. People are way more uh, aware of mental health and how important it is to have time off, to
Right.
also be more productive at work. You can't just keep going at 100% for 45 years in a row. It just doesn't work.
Right. And I don't want people to think I was one of those that was never there for the kids. I did all the kid things, all the
Yeah.
ball
Oh,
games, I did all of it, all of it. But well, I mean, I was so bad at one point when personal computers first came onto the scene, and then when we had one for the staff, and then we had each got our own. I would take mine home. I would take home this monstrous personal computer and monitor. I would take it home on the weekends so I could work at
that's
night. And I mean, for what? What did I get out of it?
yeah,
And
Yeah.
so when we look at this book, and I start thinking, you got me thinking about so many things, and this whole mental health thing. You got to stop, and 2 hours for me, you
Mhm.
just got to stop and take that time, because in the end, if you miss out for you.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right. Right. And it's not, and I think it's especially for moms, with their with young kids or
Yeah.
children, if you don't take that little bit of time, because I did my embroidery guild, and I'd be like, I'd leave my husband and be like, bye. You guys are gonna be okay for the night. I'll be all right. And I would go, and my friends would laugh because I wouldn't go home until almost midnight. I would go find a coffee shop
Oh.
and sit and have coffee because it didn't bother me at that point in time, and just to be by myself. And they're like, "You're going to the coffee shop at 9 o'clock at night, Beth?" And I'm like, "It's open till midnight. I don't have to be home. The kids are in bed." And I would. I mean, but that was my time. That was the time I carved out for me.
yeah,
My husband was home. He was taking care of them. They were fine. I was with them the rest of the time. They were good. But I think, you need to take that time, to carve that time, and then and that space of asking yourself those questions, because that's a lot of times when I would sit and journal too.
yeah,
Yeah.
Did art journaling at that point in time. So I'd have my little watercolor paints, and you be creative there, but I didn't have any interruptions either too, and that was the other thing that's kind of hard to get. So
yeah,
to take 2 hours time would be difficult, but maybe even 2 hours once a month is better than nothing, I think. Um,
yes.
Yeah.
And I think if you introduce it as a habit, yeah, as a habit, so it's a bit like the 5 minutes journaling every morning, or the macrame, even if it's just 30 minutes a week or 1 hour a week, but
mhm.
as you say, it's every Wednesday night, at from 8 to 9 or 8 to 10, and you tell everyone, you tell the family, or you tell your friends, and say, that is what I need. It's like your daughter, this is, I'm gonna go to the band. That's how it is, and people will cope. you know it's 2 hours. At the end of the day, if you think about it, it's only 2 hours.
Right,
Nothing.
right,
What gonna happen? What's the worst is gonna happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
right.
You'll still be alive. It'll be
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I came back from a retreat though.
Ties. They will not need therapy. They will be okay.
No, no. I did come back from a retreat one time. Oh, they called me actually at the retreat, and they said, "We got to tell you something." I was like, "Oh no, what happened?" My oldest son cut my daughter's hair. I guess it was in her eyes, and she goes, "Cut my hair," and they were both little, so we just so that's the worst that can happen.
Okay. That's a family story for years to come, right there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
How
So
did
yeah.
yeah. How did you discover the benefits of breathing?
How did I discover?
Other than we stay alive. I mean.
Yeah.
No, I think I've been during 2020. I start to get to explore my spirituality more, and I think that's where I start journaling. I start meditation, breath work, and yeah, and that's where I got into it. Yeah, definitely was 2020.
The old
Yeah.
pandemic. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah. Does it I assume it calms you, gets you centered.
Yeah, grounded. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely grounded. And then and just pause and you know think about me. So my body as as a physical um, element. Yeah,
Yeah.
physical thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And that's in the book there. We have exercises, things for
It's
people to do.
very simple breathwork exercise. Anyone can do it. I'm not an expert, but I've been doing it for a few years. That I know that even taking deep breath, even just breathing all the way in and all the way out. We don't think of that, but just even thinking that it just relaxes you. So yeah, I'll encourage everyone to try. Just relax and sit into your body and feel grounded. Put your feet on the ground while you do it. If you can, take your socks and shoes off, and and just really feel grounded.
Yeah. What is it in the childbirth? What is that? Cleansing breath. Cleansing breath, right? Yes. I
Take a
remember
cleansing
that
breath.
from the classes.
Uh,
Cleansing breath. Yeah. So, okay, so the book comes out January 10. People can
Yeah,
pre-order.
yeah.
And then how do people interact with you in terms of your classes? Do we have online? Are you doing
Yes.
virtual?
So the book, actually, if you go on my website, so it's isabellastrambio.com/mindful macrame, there's a whole page dedicated to the book. And from the 6th to the 10th of January, I'm running a free mindful macrame experience where every day you receive an email where there will be well, it's a surprise. I haven't, I can't tell you,
Okay.
but it's just an experience that you're gonna get. But you're gonna get a little kind of gift in your inbox, and you can open it, and there will be something. But it's kind of how do you say, a taster of the book. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm always very active. I've just finished a 3-day macrame challenge where I had 500 people signing up from around the world to learn how to make a macrame basket. I do online courses, and I'm going to host a macrame retreat in Spain in May. And hopefully I will start doing some workshop, face-to-face workshop in Sweden as well. And I'll be
Yeah.
back in the UK as well in March for the Stitch Festival. So very busy. But if
Yeah.
you follow me on Instagram, website, sign up for the mailing list, you will get up to date to various ways that you can learn from me. But I get lots of followers from the US, and they usually are follow my online courses. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I will say on your website, an excellent section for beginners.
Yes, there's
Yeah.
a whole page, Macrame for Beginners, there with a lot of information. And if you email me or message me on Instagram, I always reply. So I'm a strong believer on community. I built my community from nothing. There's people that are still following me since the 12 craft in 12 months, and and that's why I do this free challenge as well. I've got my own online community, because for me that is very, very important, that
Yeah.
network.
Yep. Isabella, thank you. That was
Thank
fun.
you
yeah.
We
for
learned
having.
things.
It's been so nice chatting with both of you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yep. And
Thank you.
thanks to everyone for listening.